Hey everybody, today we're going to be doing a healthy meatloaf, something that you can cook and you can have over a couple nights, or it's something that your whole family can enjoy. I actually spoke to another person on this group that was looking for something that they could feed to their family, their husband, and their kids, that they wouldn't have to make two separate meals. Well, I suggested this one. I said, try this meatloaf. It's not going to impact your weight. You're going to be doing your portioning out your portion, your amount, be it 3 ounces, 6 ounces, whatever you're on, and it's really delicious and it's somewhat healthy. So with your family, you can serve it with potatoes, and for yourself, you can have it with a steamed green vegetable. So let me go over the ingredients with you. Okay, what I've got here is I've got 99% fat-free. I'm using Shady Brook Farms ground turkey. It's 1.25 pounds. I think the size on it is 1.3 pounds. It's fine, that's all you're gonna need. I've also got 8 ounces of baby bella mushrooms. You can use white mushrooms, whatever you would like. Just make sure that it's stemmed, chopped, and clean. When I open this up, we're going to chop them up really well. Got 2 eggs. I've got about a medium-sized onion. I'm going to be using a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, and I'm going to have 7 tablespoons of sugar-free ketchup. You're not going to use it all at once. You're going to use some inside the recipe and some to top the meatloaf with. And to that, I've got 2 cloves of really finely chopped garlic. And last but not least, we have 1/3 cup of, I'm using almond milk, and I've got 1 cup of seasoned panko breadcrumbs. Now, breadcrumbs do have carbs, and I understand that. And the onion, when you cook it, it's going to release some sugars. But the way I'm looking at it is, this is such a massive loaf, and you're going to have such a small portion. For me, I'm only going to eat about 4 ounces. Okay, between 6 to 4 ounces is what I usually eat. But for me, 4 ounces works fine. So I'm going to have a 4 ounce portion, and the amount of actual breadcrumbs and the amount of sugar impact from those onions, I don't ever see it impacting the weight. I'm still continually dropping. So that's something to think about before you comment that carbs are bad. Okay, first thing we're going to do is get this sweet onion, and I'm going to dice it down. You want to make sure you have a good sharp knife, otherwise it's going to slip out from under you. Basically, that'll do it for here. You want to try to mince this up as good as you can. You can use a food processor for this, which will make your life a lot easier. For me, I don't really want to get into cleaning one right now, so just going to dice it up a little bit, and I'm going to transfer it into a separate bowl. All right, let me finish chopping this up, and we'll get to the mushrooms. Okay, we got the onions all chopped up. I'm going to put those aside in the bowl, and now we're going to get to the mushrooms. Like I said, these are just baby bellas. You can use the white ones. Just make sure they're stemmed and clean. So again with this, we got plenty of mushrooms. I'm just going to chop them up. Food processor, like I said, would help a lot with this. But after we chop these all completely up, I'm going to again put these in a bowl, and then we're going to move over to a skillet where I'm going to saute these down so they release their water, and then it's going to all start to come together pretty quick. So let me finish up these, get them in my bowl, and we'll take it from there. I'm going to, at this time, start up the oven, 400 degrees, set the rack in the center, and we're going to start taking care of the mushrooms and the onions right now. This is actually the hardest part to the whole recipe, so hang in there. So we've got a pretty hot pan on here, and I'm using some extra virgin olive oil with garlic infused. I can control how much I'm throwing in there. Into that, I'm going to throw in the onions. And I'm just going to let these start to cook a little bit prior to putting the mushrooms in, because these are going to take just a little bit longer. And you can add, got about a teaspoon of salt and pepper here. Okay, now I'm going to throw the mushrooms in. And you kind of want to stir those in, get them incorporated. Because once these are all done and the mushrooms have lost some of their moisture and the onions are nice and tender, then we're going to transfer this to a big stainless bowl, and there it's going to cool. So let me cook this down a little bit, and we'll get back to it when it's about done. Okay, now that I've got that in there, what I'm going to do is add about 2 tablespoons of the sugar-free ketchup. I'll make sure that gets in there. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And once we've got all that together, let's kind of mix it up. It smells incredible. Okay, we're going to kind of just spread it out and let this set until it cools down. And then we're going to add the egg and the turkey and the breadcrumbs and the garlic, and then we will be ready for the baking. Okay, this is where the fun part comes in, and it all comes together so that you can invite the kids over to help out. I broke 2 eggs. And I put them into the mix here. Into that, we're going to add turkey. Pretty simple, just drop it in there. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to add the 1/3 of a cup to the breadcrumbs. Let me just put this aside for a second here. So, I'm going to get these breadcrumbs and I'm going to incorporate the cream in with the breadcrumbs. And you know, I say 1/3 of a cup, but it's still looking a little bit dry. So if you need to add a little bit more almond milk, go ahead and do that. And you're just going to want to mix it up so that it's it kind of hangs together a little bit, but it's not completely dry. So with that put together, we're going to bring back the big bowl and we're going to put that right in there with that. And now we're going to mix it. I like to mix it by hand. Oh, I forgot one thing. We're going to add the 2 cloves of minced garlic. So the way I like to do this is just kind of leave my fingers loose and just kind of separate the meat, incorporate the mushrooms and onions, and you're just going to kind of swirl this all together. Kind of like a pinching mode under there, and I'm just kind of twisting it around. Kids love to do this, and they can mix it as much as you like. Get it up off the sides, and it's going to be a wet mixture. It's going to be pretty wet, but that's exactly what I want. Okay. Looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do at this point is take out a baking sheet. I'm going to line it with like a cookie sheet, and I'm going to line it with non-stick foil and make a little bit of a loaf. I've got the baking sheet now. I'm going to hit it just with a light coating of the garlic spray olive oil, and then I'm going to take the meat, and I'm going to try to form it into as tight a package as I can, and I'm going to put that right in the center. Taking the remaining then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to just like make a loaf out of it. And in the middle, I'm going to make a little bit of an indent. Just a little bit. So with that indent there, I'm going to take the remaining ketchup and I'm going to paint that right on there. And this is going to thicken up like a glaze in the oven. Now we're going to want to cook this to 165 degrees internal temperature. And to do that, I'm going to use my thermoprobe thermometer. So once I have this all set, I take my thermometer and I turn this on, and I'm going to take the probe and just kind of stick it in the middle, the thickest part there. And I'm going to wait for an internal temp of 165. So let's throw this in the oven. Okay, 400 degrees, center rack. You just slide it right in there. And once this hits 165, or actually about 160, we'll be good to go. Whenever I'm making this recipe, people always call me. They sit there and go, "Hey Dave, what are you doing?" And I tell them I'm making meatloaf, and automatically they want one, especially around dinner time. "Can you make me one? Do you have any extra stuff?" And usually I do. So while I was letting the mushrooms and onions cool, got a call from a friend, and so I'm going to make another one right quick and get it in the oven with this one. Time to get this out of the oven. Wow, 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 wow. All right, let me grab the probes out of these. Do both at temp. And I'm going to pull this one out. Right up top. Now that is amazing. It's nice and firm. Smells great. It's got a little bit of a toasted bottom to it. So I'm just going to let that sit and cool for a little while, and then we're going to take a slice of that and I'll show you how beautiful it actually is. Okay, I've just cut one piece, and it's crunchy on the outside, but on the inside it is just as moist as you can imagine. It's actually pretty incredible how moist that can get. And the flavor, oh, the flavor is just off the hook. So there you have it, the turkey meatloaf.